What is going on, FUD Nation, and welcome back to FUD TV. I'm Elio Trades, and today we're going to be going over a really interesting comparison episode where we're going to be talking about NEO and Ontology. Now, a lot of people have been commenting on my old Ontology videos and under different random videos throughout the past few weeks, essentially saying, what's the deal with Ontology and how is this going to fit into the NEO ecosystem? Is it going to come and eventually make NEO obsolete or make NEO irrelevant? And the answer to that is upcoming. So strap in, get ready. We're going to talk all about how Ontology is going to fit in with the NEO ecosystem, and we're going to go over a little bit about what Ontology is if you're not familiar with the project. So strap in, get ready. We're going deep on Ontology versus NEO. So understanding what Ontology is really trying to do and why it's different than NEO can really readily be discovered by just diving into their Ontology white paper, which white papers are something I want to encourage everyone who's watching this video to be able to be comfortable with doing, because look at how plainly this is written. This doesn't look like code, right? This right here is just an easy thing to read. It's just an easy document to get through. So Ontology is a blockchain/distributed ledger network which combines a distributed identity system, right? Identity system, what's one of NEO's key pillars, right? Identity, distributed data exchange, distributed data collaboration, distributed procedure protocols, distributed communities, distributed attestation. Together, this builds the infrastructure for a peer-to-peer trust network, which is cross-chain, cross-system, cross-industry, cross-application, and cross-device. So at its core, what Ontology is a trust network. They're trying to build in this whole concept of trust. So as we go a little bit deeper into this whole NEO versus Ontology thing, I want you to keep in mind that Ontology's whole white paper is structured around the building and construction of trust. NEO is about building a smart economy, and trust is just one aspect of that smart economy. It might be the most vital aspect of that smart economy, but it's just one aspect. It doesn't complete the smart economy. So you can look at all of the technologies coming out of Ontology as seeking to create and bolster, embolden, and support trust. How is this trust accomplished? Well, they say that it's accomplished through technology, through legal systems, and through communities. Blockchain has not just built trust in individual projects, it has fundamentally changed the future of trust ecosystems. So trust in legal system is the oldest and most basic trust mechanism, and this is assuring rights and protections across industries and across the world. Economic systems, which are inseparable from legal systems, are a top choice for integration into the blockchain. This means that pairing economic and legal systems is needed to address certain issues, including the issue of legal authentication, the issue of legal support, the issue of identification. And finally, they're talking about community trust. And this is the concept of how the community builds and checks itself, right? And that by having Yelp reviews and Google page reviews and all these things, they're ways that we as a community are enforcing a system of trust and enforcing a system of responsibility on the community as a whole. And that this sense of community mixed with legal systems and mixed with technology together form three distinct types of trust. And again, we're here on page 4, and all we're hearing about is Ontology has architected a distributed trust system. It incorporates multiple trust types and in an integrated protocol with various blockchains and databases. Multi-source identities, multi-source data exchange protocols have been implemented into the network, building a distributed trust system that is cross-chain, cross-industry, cross-system, cross-application, and cross-device. We've read this and read this and read this. We're going to keep reading this because I just want to reaffirm for you what the goals of this project are. Just because you have two wrenches, like blockchain is a tool. A blockchain is a tool for other people to use to create amazing things. Just because you have a tool like a wrench, one's made for car parts, the other's made for home improvement or maybe for working on laptops. So you have a wrench for a laptop, you have a wrench for a car. Maybe at the beginning when you're looking at them on the ground, you can describe them as two very similar wrenches. But then as you start to see them in practice over time, over years and years and years, you start to see that one wrench really is a lot bigger and it's got a sort of hand crank, and the other one's got a little bit smaller. It's got different sort of add-ons to the end to allow for more precision. This is just the theory versus practice, right? If you're looking at two tools that can kind of theoretically do the same thing, then you're looking at how they're actually used. This is what's going to create the differentiation between Ontology and NEO, is that NEO is a smart economy builder. Ontology is a trust builder. And so looking at the aims and the tool sets that are going to be developed, it's going to become very clear and easy to see that Ontology cares about building trust between organizations, entities, and they're just creating all this webs of trust and certification and sort of trying to bring this feeling of certainty that we have towards certain transactions and certain things in real life to the digital world. So that's Ontology's MO. That's all they care about. Just because they can build things that could be built on NEO, just because they can build things that could have been built on Ethereum doesn't mean they will, right? Doesn't mean they will. Just because they can and they have a blockchain doesn't mean that that tool is actually going to end up being very hospitable for that kind of building environments. So to get very granular here, I want it to be clear that Ontology isn't just saying, oh, we're going to do all this trust stuff, and just whenever it comes to trusting stuff, you'll come to us. They have their areas of trust, their segments that they're trying to attack, their sectors rather, very much so spelled out. This is not a question as to what they're going to be tackling or when it's going to become an Ontology focus. It is clearly an Ontology focused project when it deals with asset management, copyright protection, public welfare, finance services, healthcare, government administration, insurance, Internet of Things. These are the areas where Ontology will be called upon. These are the areas that Ontology has sought out to bring trust and implement trust. And I believe that this is why I feel so strongly that they are working with the Chinese government. So right above my head, you'll be able to see this response to Ontology's AMA that was conducted back in November, which essentially is them saying, yes, Ontology will be legally compliant in both China and other regions. How would they possibly know that if they weren't already discussing this with the Chinese government? I mean, this is from their mouth. They're the ones who said this, that they're going to be compliant in China. So if you're wondering where we're getting this from, that they're going to be compliant in China, look no further than their own responses to say that this was designed as a compliance layer in China, but also beyond China. So here we are looking at Da Hongfei, the CEO of NEO's response to the initial wave of Chinese regulations back in September, the announcing of an ICO ban and a ban on crypto trading. This was his response. Thanks everybody, I'm very good. Regulation is good for the industry long term. Please bear in mind that NEO's designing philosophy is compliance friendly. Now to me, this just spells out that he is expecting for Ontology to essentially usher in this new era of blockchain where they are compliance friendly. Whereas even though right now maybe NEO isn't fully compliance friendly, this whole revelation of what they're doing with Ontology and digital identities and all this trust mapping is going to be compliance friendly. And I think that if I'm reading the tea leaves right, this tweet mixed with what I know about Ontology, which came out just in the months after this tweet, really solidifies that I believe that this is the way that they're going to make everything compliance friendly. And of course, we see that in their AMA, they confirmed that it will be compliance friendly. So now returning back to the NEO homepage and looking at NEO's sort of three core assets of their value proposition. They have three core pillars, and as we read through them, we can start to pick apart and understand how Ontology is not some kind of competitor to NEO, but rather a key, an integral aspect of all of NEO's accomplishments, all of what NEO wants to accomplish. Digital assets are programmable assets that exist in the form of electronic data. With blockchain technology, the digitization of assets can be decentralized, trustful, traceable, highly transparent, and free of intermediaries. On the NEO blockchain, users are able to register, trade, and circulate multiple types of assets, proving the connection between digital and physical assets is possible through digital identity. Assets registered through valid digital identity are protected by law. Here is the crux, right? So this is proving the connection between digital assets and physical assets is possible through digital identity. What have we just been talking about with Ontology? Digital identity, trust, right? So it's all about proving that you are who you are and that your actions in this digital world can be protected by law. And here we are back in the Ontology white paper. A decentralized and multi-factor identity verification system that assures data privacy is core to building a trust network. Such a system can provide identity verifications systems for individuals, organizations, and physical objects. So again, we can see that the concept of trust here and identity verification is critical to the mission of Ontology. So you can see how the mission of Ontology is not competitive with NEO's, but in actuality, it's synergistic. It's a core underlying support system for what NEO is trying to accomplish. And finally, I think it's really helpful just to understand the differences between NEO and Ontology to go through the list of NEO's DApps that they've created and try to find one that you actually think should be on Ontology. And I think that's the really this is the easiest way to see practice versus reality. What are these things doing and why would any of them actually be on Ontology? Because we haven't seen, you can imagine, an insurance app or, a transportation app or, a unemployment app or something like that. And that would go on Ontology in theory in your mind, right? But right now I'm looking at all these NEO Exchange, the NEX. That's not meant for Ontology, right? You have Moonlight, the distributed workforce, not meant for Ontology. You have Red Pulse, which is essentially market-driven or event-driven market data for investing. AdX, a decentralized ad exchange, definitely not for Ontology. NEO-Auth. NEO-Auth enables authentication over NEO blockchain, allowing you to log in a NEO address instead of an email or password. Yeah, that's definitely not Ontology. Zeepin, the distributed creative new economy, not Ontology. Peer-to-peer Wi-Fi sharing, we're not building a web of trust there. This is one, right? Control of IoT devices via NEO smart contracts. So this is the first one that I'm seeing that is a little bit okay, there'll probably be an Ontology version of this, right? Where all of a sudden this might not be the first thing, but this might link in with the Ontology one. So it's unclear. iMusify is a free blockchain-based, incentivized, decentralized music platform. Definitely not Ontology. Peer-to-peer courier platform. Not Ontology. You might verify your identity on this chain with Ontology, but this is not Ontology material, Besides the NEO Smart IoT, I don't really see any of these that make sense for Ontology. So when people ask what's the difference between NEO and Ontology, it's easier described by intention than by describing the set of tools. When you describe generically the blockchains and what they support and what they can do, transactions per second and how they're gonna pay gas and all those things, well, it starts to sound like Ontology is very similar to NEO, almost too similar to NEO, to the point where you're wondering how the two projects might play together or even start to become competitors of each other. But then once you realize that Ontology was released very much so with the people at on-chain, the NEO fam behind it as a support system, as a trust-building mechanism to be implemented within all the NEO apps. For example, all these apps could then access the Ontology trust. The key is going to be a partner of NEO or a partner of Ontology, where if you're verifying your identity, you can do so and the key will talk to Ontology, which will then talk to other systems. So the key is by no means needing, and by the way, the key will have its own chain as I understand it. So it's just releasing its ICO on NEO. The reality is that very few, if any of them, actually would be even remotely considered to be on Ontology. And so as you're starting to compare NEO and Ontology, just keep in mind that the practice, the theory versus the reality is going to be the thing that really shapes these projects. So here we are on the Ontology CoinMarketCap page, and as you can see, it's trading for $1.61. Now, be careful though, because this token sale price went out at 20 cents, and just a couple of days ago, right when it first got released onto Binance and Huobi, it was trading at over $3, so it did a 15x right off the bat, and that's because there wasn't an ICO, there wasn't a chance for a public offering, nobody got a chance to really get a taste of this till it hit the exchanges, and now it's leveling off between 150 and 160. Obviously, it's been ebbing and flowing. It got up to about 185, and it got down as low as 142. I definitely had some buys set in there in that range, so I have to check and see if any of those got triggered around last night. But regardless, we'll see. I'm definitely trying to accumulate some Ontology, even thinking about liquidating a lot of my Bitcoin and putting it into Ontology, just because I'm so passionate about the people behind this project and really the circumstances that created Ontology. It's that's really getting me excited, is what is behind this project, and that the fact that this price got shot up 15 times its value when it first hit the market validates everything that I thought about Ontology and how significant of a project it truly is. This is something that a lot of people are really looking to be a legitimizer of not just the Chinese blockchain industry, but the whole blockchain industry as globally. Because if you can have governments essentially be able to pre-program their regulations or pre-program what they want for compliance and have it actually implemented successfully through Ontology, well, that allows for a whole nother level of legal responsibility and sort of legal protection while you're online. And I think that's the biggest thing that people are really concerned about is legal protection and legal responsibility. So Ontology is that. If you're worried about Chinese regulation, if you're worried about this sort of potential, the FUD around regulation, then this is the way you hedge your bets. This is how you protect yourself, because this is the regulation platform. Just for some quick math, they have a circulating supply of 1 billion, and they have about 53% of that in circulation. So 530 million times 1.6 as the going price, $1.60. That would put this Ontology ICO, or this Ontology sort of market cap, just above Binance Coin and just below Icon here, comfortably in the top 30 coins, just sort of scraping, becoming coin number 25 on our total market cap list. That is huge to have a coin go from completely unknown by many people to essentially being a dominant force in the industry. So again, just to put a pretty little bow on this, the application scenarios for Ontology include finance, IoT, payments, insurance, media, software development, asset titles, medical, and government. They will use NEO contract on Ontology, and projects built upon the network will be able to create Net5 tokens, right? So these are compatible, totally compatible, interoperable, everything on Ontology with NEO. Whilst Ontology will be used for data storage and identity, NEO will be used for asset-based functionality. Obviously, Ontology is critical when it comes to validating and building trust in this new smart economy, and NEO is really in charge of smart contracts and digital assets. I just want to show how, while at the beginning it might seem like they have a lot of similarities, the reality is that their intention for usage of these tools is so different, and that they're very much so being concocted and released by the same group of people to play nicely together and to be synergistic, not competitive with each other. A large portion of the time, it will indeed be validating for apps on NEO and for functionality that flows through NEO, though that's not necessarily exclusive. In reality, I have a ton of optimism and a ton of faith in the team behind Ontology, as they have right now the largest known blockchain team in China, as I understand it. They have over 100 employees. And so they are really making moves. I don't actually know of a bigger blockchain team. If you guys can point one out to me, I would love to know. Do you guys know of a team with more engineers than Ontology? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to know if you guys know of a team with more actual developers than Ontology has on their team. So don't be scared to tell us what you think of our review below. Let us know, are you holding Ontology? Are you excited about the future of Ontology? We'd really like to know what you, the community, think. Once again, this is not financial advice. This is not a substitute for you doing your own research. You always have to do your own research when investing, and never, ever invest what you can't afford to lose in this tremendously speculative market. Thanks so much for being with us. I'm Elio Trades, and we'll catch you very soon on the next episode of FUD TV.